After reviewing the Western Carolina game, obviously we made some explosive plays in the game and did some really good things, had some players play really, really well. But it's sort of the same old, song with this game as any other game. There were times when we didn't execute and do things like we'd like, which we definitely need to improve on. Still made a few mental errors on defense that, allowed them to make plays, and these are the kind of things that you want to eliminate against good teams. So we have a lot of work to do. I think, the Iron Bowl is, one of the great rivalries in college football. If you're a competitor, you love to play in games like this game this week and playing against a really good team. Maybe as it should be, a lot comes down to this game. It's kind of a season within a season, so to speak. And I think if you have to explain that to your team or your players, they don't really know what's going on in football. So I think the key to the drill is great preparation, great practice, really doing a good job of preparing in the game, because we've seen all year long that, when we do that, we play well. When we don't do as well. Injuries for our team, a couple guys, Ruggs and Phil Mathis will start back to practice today and still be evaluated day to day. Raekwon is still day to day, and Reichard is still out as far as this game is concerned. I think Auburn has an outstanding team. They have some very impressive wins over top 10 teams, top 20 teams. The only teams they've lost to is some teams that were ranked in the top 10. So they've been very competitive and played really well, in all those games. I think their defense is, one of the best defensive teams in the country, probably anchored by, two really good players up front. Derrick Brown and Marlon, are both really, really good players and have been difficult for people to block all season long, but they play great team defense. They play with a lot of toughness. So this is going to be a real challenge, for us. Offensively, they've been very effective, creating balance. Bo Nix has done a really good job of doing that for them. They're very effective running the football. They've got really good skill guys outside. They've got a really good runner. Whitlow's a really good runner. So this team is very good on special teams. So, this is, the best team we played probably so far this year, and it'll be the most challenging place that we played. So, real challenge for our players and our team.
Coach, we'll start back with Marty.
Hi, Coach. Good afternoon. How you doing, man?
Good, man.
I'm here to do a story on Mac Jones, and I would love to have your perspective on, why is he built for this moment and this opportunity?
Well, I think that, we have a lot of confidence in Mac. He's played well when he's had the opportunity to play, and I think the team has confidence in him. This is going to be, the first game he has to play on the road, so it'll be a little different, from that standpoint for him in terms of game management, the things that he has to do to be effective against a very good team. But we have every confidence that, he'll be able to manage the game well and do what we need to do to be able to get the ball to the skilled players that we have and create balance in the offense. So I think he's confident because he's got some playing experience now, and we certainly have confidence in him.
How has going against your number one defense so often every day in practice over the past couple of years prepared him for this moment?
Well, I think that, if you talk to most any of our players, they always talk about the fact that, a lot of times people say, you don't have to wait your turn to play at Alabama, even though we play more young players probably than anybody in the country, especially this year with 5 guys starting and I think 19 freshmen playing. But if you talk to our players, most of them will tell you, and I've never asked Mac this question, is the competition every day in practice is really what makes them better. Marlon Humphrey would tell you that I had to cover Mari Cooper every day, and Cam Robinson would say I had to block Jonathan Allen every day. So I've never asked Mac the question, so I can't really answer it for him. But probably the skill guys that we have improved because of the competition, and Probably some of the guys that we had playing in the back end probably have improved because of the competition as well as the front seven. So hopefully that's a real positive for Mack as well. I would assume so, but I think we should ask him.
Mike, okay, but
Auburn has run those the sugar huddles, the quick huddles. How do you prepare a team for that? And what do you tell the guys to look for?
I think you have to, practice it, obviously, in practice. And, most of the time, when they do that, they have, a particular different look that they want to give you that requires some form of adjustment. I think the players, all have to stand in the sugar huddle on defense and definitely see how the players come out of the huddle. A lot of times they'll be tackle or run balance or some unusual type formation, and then they want to quick snap the ball so you have a minimal amount of time to, get ready for it. So I think the only way you can prepare for it is do it in practice so the players can anticipate to some degree what they might see, and that's what we'll need to do this week.
all right, Charlie.
You already mentioned the defensive lineman, but is this the best defensive line you've faced so far this year? And if so, what stands out most about them?
Well, I don't think there's any question about it. I think these two guys are really hard to block. I think their whole front seven is really hard to block. They're very physical. They play tough. They play together. They're well coached. Kevin Steele does a great job, with them. So they're tied together well. So, you're going to have to finish blocks, and we're going to have to play well together as a team to get a hat on a hat. And same thing in the pass game. It doesn't matter whether it's a run or a pass; those guys are pretty dominant players. So this is the most challenging front that we played this year.
Steph, right here with John.
Kind of a follow-up on that. You've had some pretty dominant defensive tackles, defensive linemen here. What stands out about Derrick Brown, and how much of an impact? I mean, Florida game comes to mind that he's really had a huge impact on some of these games.
Well, he's had a huge impact on just about every game, in my opinion. We've always thought a lot of him as a player and had a tremendous amount of respect for him. But he's got great initial quickness. He plays with a lot of power. He uses his hands well. He can disengage from blockers very quickly. He can push the pocket, really well with the power rush. So he's a pretty complete player, and as good a player as we played against for a while around here as an inside player.
Back left with Brett.
How does your defense handle an offense that runs the ball a lot more than most teams like Ole Miss did and like Auburn probably will?
Well, I think that they create a lot of circumstances with formations and motions, and I think the big thing is, we got to line up correctly. We got to adjust to these formations correctly. The players up front have to, win their gap, win their responsibility, play well on the line of scrimmage, get off the blocks, and we got some really good play action passes to go with some of this stuff. So back end people have to be in good run force position, but they also got to play run pass when it's their responsibility to do that, so you don't give up big plays. And it's very challenging, but that's the game that we play, and I think our guys look forward to trying to play a physical game up front, and that's going to be a real key in this game.
Cecil.
Coach, the converse of that. How has your running game improved over the last 4 or 5 games, and how do you run against a team that you don't necessarily see them bring the safeties up as much as?
Well, I think that I thought we were making a lot of progress in how we ran the ball. I thought last week we had some issues and problems in blocking movements up front. They gave us some negative plays with some stunts and movements and things like that, which we definitely need to get corrected. But look, we run the offense that we run. If they put extra guys in the box, which they do sometimes, we either have to account for them or we have to throw the ball. And if they play split safeties, we got to be good enough to be able to finish blocks and be able to make positive running plays, whether they're direct runs or perimeter runs. So, they got good players. That's why they have a good defense. They got a sound scheme in terms of how they execute it and how they play it. And when you play teams like that, the number one thing you have to do is execute yourself. So that's going to be the key for us.
Stay on the left there with Mike.
How much do you expect Tua to be around the team this week, and do you expect him to travel on Saturday?
We expect Tua to do what he needs to do to get healthy himself. Trying to get him, sort of back into school and doing what he needs to do in school. And, he knows he's welcome around here anytime that he feels up to it. I think it's always uplifting to the team when he's around. I've talked before about his spirit and leadership having a positive impact on everybody around here. And, certainly, we'd love to see him as much as possible, but he's also got to feel up to it. This guy's been through a lot here, so, kind of leave that up to him.
James, right in the middle.
You touched on containing the running back a little bit, but when the quarterback is an important part of the running game like it is for Auburn, what's the most important aspect of containing that? Is it as simple as gap discipline, or what more is there to it?
Well, I think anytime the other team's quarterback can run, you can run in a lot of different situations. They can spread you out when a quarterback draws based on the look that you're in. He's a good scrambler. He extends plays, a lot in the passing game. They run some quarterback runs. So I think that you have to play those plays. Everybody's got to know who's squeezing, who's scraping, and how you're playing those plays, and you got to be disciplined in being able to do it, or you're going to leave somebody unaccounted for. So we played against all these plays before this year, so it's not like we haven't ever seen them before.
Mr. here with Tony.
I have two, if you will. First off, DJ Dale, you didn't mention him, but he was questionable last week. Is he kind of day-to-day like the rest of them?
He's day-to-day.
Okay, and then the last few games with Mack, you've seemed to start him off with some pop passes, some screens. Is that something you like to do with a more inexperienced quarterback, or what's the thought process behind kind of getting him started like that?
Well, I think every game, we're always trying to, script some plays in the beginning that we feel like are going to give, all of our players, hopefully, success, early in the game, whether it's, formation-based or, the kind of throws that we want to make early on in the game to sort of get people confidence in having positive plays. So we always try to do that. We always try to go over what we're going to do. We always try to review it with the players so they know exactly what to expect, and hopefully that enhances your ability to execute.
Wrap up in the back with a follow-up from Mark.
Coach, I know you said to Mack, hey man, you're not a sparring partner anymore. Here's the keys, you're driving this thing now. From your perspective as the leader of the program, what's the psychological shift that comes with that for a player, and specifically for him?
Well, I just think that, you have to accept the responsibility in the role. You have to be confident in your ability in that role, and your body language has to, sort of express that to the players that you're playing again with. I think all three of those things are probably critical factors in being able to do that. Positive body language is really important. Everybody's striving to be perfect. Nobody really can be. Somewhere along the line, you want to hit on exceptional. And that's kind of what we try to get our players to do. But when it doesn't go the way you'd like for it to go, we got to focus on the next play. We got to learn from that play, and I think that's really important for the quarterback not to get, at all frustrated about the circumstance and continue to focus on the next play. And his teammates need to see that and have confidence in his ability to do that as well.